All right, welcome everybody. We're talking to Randy Bates from the Bates Motel. I've known Randy, I don't even know how many years. We're going to figure that out. 25 or 30 years probably. So Randy, before we get going, tell us a little bit about the Bates Motel and Haunted Hayride. You know, what is your property like?
Yeah, well, I was born and raised on the farm. My folks bought it back in the early 50s. Grew up there, moved out, went off to college, ended up finding the woman of my dreams and getting married. And in 1982, my dad died. My mom said, "You got to move back on the farm to help us." So reluctantly, we built a house on the farm, and my wife turned into a farm girl. And we were doing hay rides to bonfires for groups, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, sorority, fraternities, church groups, things like that. So, 45-minute hay ride and, big bonfire, picnic tables, and they could party up for a couple hours. In 1990, my neighbor was doing a haunted trail as a charity. And they had 5,000 people came through on a Saturday night before Halloween, and it destroyed his farm. So he said, "I'm not doing it anymore." And I got together with one of my friends who also had tractors and wagons, and we said, "Hey, let's do a haunted hayride." Had no idea it was anything such thing as a haunted hayride, but we said we'll do the same thing that he was doing, but we'll do it on wagons. And 1991, we started. We were open 5 nights. We had 4 tractors and wagons. I had about 25 actors, and we opened up. We actually ran, and I thought that spent about 10 grand to get props and things like that, costumes. Halloween showed up, and we said, "Man, I'm going to finally make some money." And nobody showed up until like 9 o'clock at night. I was like devastated. Everybody else was getting paid but me. Mm-hmm. And then, some people showed up, and, it wasn't a complete loss, but it was fun. It's 17 acres of dark woods that we run the hayride in. Next year we built it up bigger, 92. And then finally in 1996, I got invited to Transworld, which I think was their second show in Chicago, and was ready to learn from the professionals, and met a lot of really cool people out there, a lot of the old haunted people, the haunted heads, and learned about how to build a haunted house. So we came home and we built the Bates Motel haunted house. And by this time, we had raised our prices and we were doing pretty well. We were running through, 20,000 people. So the haunted house worked out good. We had to give away tickets because people weren't sure whether they wanted to go in or not. So I gave away a lot of tickets. People were coming out and high-fiving each other, having fun. That's kind of how we got started. 2000, we put in a trail in our cornfield, and that was probably one of my best investments. I spent $10,000 on props and fencing and lighting and things like that. And we had 20,000 people come through at $5 a head. So that's kind of how we all got started. It's obviously turned into an amazing family business. I got several of my children are working it. They're all grown. My wife is the chief financial officer, and we just keep moving right along.
I remember you talking about those early days, how you were sitting at a picnic table, with a little cash drawer to get people to pay that way. How things have changed. It's pretty amazing. Now, back in the beginning, before you moved back the farm, now weren't you involved in like alarm installation and things like that? Was that your kind of career path?
Yes. I graduated from college with a degree in criminal justice, but in 1980, there was affirmative action in place. I couldn't get a job on a police force anywhere. So I continued to install car stereos, which I put myself through college doing, and then started a burglar alarm company. and got involved with the alarm systems, and then it was the satellite dishes, TV antennas, and then it was cell phones. It was just one thing after another. Anything that Radio Shack sold, I was installing. And I guess 1986, I started working for a burglar alarm company, a local company, and worked my way up to about as high as you can go in that company without marrying into the family. And so 1991, I changed careers. I went to do a sales business in burglar alarms, which was a horrible thing. I'm a terrible salesman, so.
Someone
Also,
beg to differ on that, but
well, I don't know. But
you
the
talked
thing
a lot
was
of people into going to your attraction.
well, yeah, I know. But the thing was that I started that sales job on uh, January 16th, 1991. And if anybody remembers that date specifically, was the date they started the war over in the Middle East.
Oh, my.
Desert Storm. And that was the CNN war. So nobody was buying anything. They were all stuck to their TVs watching the war. So I didn't sell anything for quite a while. Anyway, at the end of that year, I ended up getting a job at a place that did in-car stereo installs again. I was a install manager, but still doing all the side work. And at the same time, we started my own alarm company, burglar alarm company, with a partner of mine, and that did pretty well. At the same time, that's the same year we started the Hayride.
It's interesting. Probably that skill with technical stuff really helped you out later with sound and animatronics and things of that nature, I would imagine.
Well, it really did. I mean, I used a lot of alarm products in our animatronics and things, relays, sound cards, all kinds of things like that. And it's really worked out well, that having that knowledge of it. The one thing I do love about our business is that I've been infatuated with music since I was a little kid. We had a crank up turntable in our living room growing up, and I would listen to some of the records that my parents had. But instead of buying a car when I was 14 or 15 or 16, I bought stereo equipment and, just a love of music. So when we started the Hayride back in 91, and I was obviously involved with the car stereo stuff, we mounted underdash cassette decks on all four tractors and put speakers in an amplifier, and we recorded a soundtrack so that it went with the themes as you drove the tractor through the trail. And I don't know anybody else that was doing that at the time, but it just makes such a difference when you can have the soundtrack and you pull that wagon up to the entrance, and all of a sudden you start hearing the wind and the thunder and the lightning, and the music starts to crescendo, and just as it gets the highest peak, in goes the wagon. And in my opinion, it makes it so much easier to scare your customers. It's like imagine watching the movie Jaws without the dun 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 dun. It would just be just a fish story. But with that music, it scares you. So it just makes it so much easier to put the people on edge and scare them, and that's what's always worked for us.
So on those trailers, just a quick question. So was the track running continuously and the wagons had to just hit that mark, or did they advance a track and play it just when they were in the spot?
Yeah, no, it's one soundtrack through the whole trail. And what it does is it entertains the customers, but it also times the ride. So my theory always was that I want to go one speed, never stop, and it's a slow walk, so it's about 1.5 miles an hour. And the tractor drivers have to stay in a specific gear, listen to the music, make sure they're on time. And what that does is it times the rides, so I can run tractors at this point. I can run 14 tractors at the same time, and nobody sees what's going on in front of them or behind them because it's all timed. The second thing is that I feel it's much safer for my actors for the staff out in the woods. They know those wagons are all going exactly the same speed. They're not going to speed up or slow down. So they can come out and they can attack the wagon and scare people and, be confident that they're not going to get run over.
It's intriguing that method you're using, because it kind of reminds me of like the doom buggies in the Haunted Mansion. You're always moving, and it creates a scenario where you can get really great throughput. I know traditionally many of the haunted hayrides will have a stop and show. They'd roll into a location, stop, and do a show, and of course that makes the experience potentially longer. But you're kind of like literally like the Haunted Mansion. You're just rolling continuously, so you can probably do pretty good numbers doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And my opinion is that every hayride operator out there, they might do something different, but that might be something that their customers enjoy. They might like to stop and see a skit or something like that. And we train our customers to like what we do. I know the Jubies, they do the start and stop, and they do very well with that. And that's what their customers like. They're in New York. They like, theatrical stuff. My guys, my people down in Philly, they just want to get the crap scared out of them. And they love going through it and seeing all the big sets. And, it just makes it easier, like I said, for us to be safe and to scare people.
It's really intriguing how every attraction sort of takes on the skills of the people creating it. I mean, here you are, you have a background in, audio video equipment. And so very early on, you've got this whole soundtrack thing. And one of the things, even probably before I met you, what I heard about the Bates Motel, it was all about, or the Hayride, the whole event was about the fire and the audio and the impact. Tell us a little bit about how you use those special effects, addition to sound. What are the other things like the pyro?
Yeah, we do the pyro. We do a lot of pyro. And it started out at a really good friend of mine named Mike Hearn that joined us our second year. And he's a blacksmith, and he also works for an HVAC company. And he put together, we did a witches scene our second year. I know, a little lame, but anyway, we had a big a cauldron filled with water. And I came home one day from work, and he was there. Hey, Randy, check this out. He said, I'm going to make that water burn. And he had a little flame on it sticking up out of the water, and he had propane that was dumping into the water, bubbling up, and all of a sudden the bubbles would catch fire. And that was the beginning of our pyrotechnics. That was our second year. And we did some other stuff that he had worked on, so on like that. And then we hired a fellow that was doing special effects and fire effects. And he came out and designed a couple of effects for us, and then we've just taken it from there. So we do a lot of fire. We pride ourselves on being safe because it's all I guess you would say a double safety. In other words, if you're going to do a flame explosion, you don't have anything in the tank until you push a button that loads the propane into a tank, and you push another button which sets off the explosion. So it's not just sitting there ready to go. But that's kind of what we became known for, is the pyro. We've got big sound equipment throughout the woods. So not only is there sound on all the wagons, but there's also some sound effects as you're driving through the hayride.
So as we're going through the hayride, let's say someone was going to go last year or this year. Obviously, things always change a little bit. What are some of the scenes that people would see on that hayride?
Well, I love having a huge entrance and a big finale, and ups and downs as you're going through the hayride trail. So we've always kind of had a castle as an entrance. And last year, 2 years ago, we tore everything down and rebuilt it. So it's 35-foot tall walls on each side. There's a bunch of animatronics in there. There's fire bombs going off. And as you go through, you drive through into the head of a dragon. And when you come out, there's a fire-breathing dragon up on a lift. we have a lot of different scenes. There's no real theme to our place. It's just a bunch of different scares and different sets and so on. But you'll see a big church. We designed it. I remember heck where I was. I think it was a wedding, and I was writing this stuff down frantically on a napkin. But it was the church with double doors that opened up and fog rolls out, and a coffin with 4 pallbearers comes slowly out, but they have no legs. And that's the distraction. People look at that, and then the actors will catch them from another side.
I remember that
So,
scene. You had that cantilever as well, where an actor would just come catapulting out of a grave. You devised some
yes.
mechanism. That was pretty
Yeah.
spectacular. Yeah, one of
Yeah,
the
the
ones that
ground
struck me
racing.
was that you did this prehistoric scene. Is these huge like gorge with all these monsters.
Yeah, yeah. I've had that on the books for years. I always wanted to do a giant, like I said, a gorge, and they're 35, 40 foot tall. Stone walls on either side of the trail. There's animatronics coming out. There's a lot of dinosaurs, and we did a big pterodactyl last year, which was pretty cool. Some other monsters in there, but it's just overwhelming. So people just look up and see everything, and I think that's one of the most important things on, really creating a quality hayride is you need to have scenes that are bigger than life. Bigger, taller. You want your actors to be up elevated above the wagons a little bit. A couple of years ago, we installed a Wild West town, which turned out really nice. It's about 16 or 18 buildings on either side, and different animatronics popping out, different actors popping out. We got into some video stuff. So you drive by this antique hotel and look in the windows, and you can see a bar fight going on in there. And it was something that we filmed up in our shop, which is pretty neat. And through the second floor window of the hotel is a buddy of mine swinging on a lantern, big horse carriage wheel lantern, drinking a beer. They're just swinging around having a good old time. Just little stuff like that. And then, the other thing is we do, I love having just little hidden, subtle nuances, I guess, little personal jokes throughout the hayride. The gas station's got 666 on it, which is probably almost pretty close to what we're paying now.
Oh my God.
But the exploding gas station, that's
Yeah.
another thing. And, we put in a zombie mall, which we're going to take out this year and do something new. I've got a miniature of the Bates Motel, the actual motel itself, not the house. And there's different animatronics that pop out of there. And the other one is the one I always liked was there's a mine shaft, and you're actually going downhill into this mine shaft, and there's beams that are falling on you and different monsters that are coming out. Always something to see. And one of our theories is that I want to put so much stuff out there for people to see, and they have to go back through and see it again, 2, 3, 4 times. You listen to the people talk to each other. Hey, did you see this? Did you see that? No, where was that? Oh, it was over this side. Let's go through again. So that's one of our theories, is to overwhelm them with so much to see, and that they have to come back.
It's also nice you've got that deep, dark forest you're rolling through. It really helps separate the scenes and creates that feeling of enclosure.
Oh, absolutely. And, it's all about lighting, but it's also about the darkness. And, we have trail lights throughout the hayride, so the tractors don't have their headlights on. And, the drivers they're driving slow, but they have their points that we train them and so on like that. But it won't blind the actors when a tractor comes around a corner.
Right. So they go through this hayride, and how long does that take approximately?
It's 25 minutes from loading to unloading. And we always end up with, like I said, to have a big ending. We've had a covered bridge with the Headless Horseman. And my daughter was a Headless Horseman back in the 90s until she went off to school. And then we've had some friends that have horses, and they come out and do that. And once you go through that, you come out of the other side of the covered bridge, you're getting ready to, you're finished with the ride, and we start playing the Ghostbusters song, and everybody's singing along. It's great. They get off, they're happy, they're ready to go buy a hot dog and a T-shirt.
So they drop off in sort of a midway area. Now, do they choose to go to the Bates Motel at that point, or can they go to the cornfield? How does that work?
Well, it used to be you go anywhere you want, and ever since COVID, we started just doing a linear attraction. So we make them go through the hayride first, then they go through our trail, a corn trail, and when they come out of that, they go into the Bates Motel, and then they end up out in the courtyard where they can get food and so on like that. The last couple of years, we've been very lenient. So if people want to go get something to eat, they can do that and go back through as long as they have their tickets.
So tell us a little bit about the cornfield. What's in there?
Okay, well, as we started out, we built basically a cave that you walk through, and there's bats flying overhead and a couple of monsters coming out. We had a squeeze wall in there until COVID, and you had to take the squeeze wall out because people getting sick. And then you come out, there's a mausoleum. I have a ton of real tombstones that were carved. We bought a bunch of them from a place up in Allentown, Pennsylvania, that was going out of business. And they were all, miscuts and cracks and, wrong dates and stuff like that. But I probably got 150 tombstones.
Wow.
So as you turn around, you walk down and get ready to go into the mausoleum, you're walking on top of tombstones that we buried in the ground, and you read them.
It's
kind of
it's so interesting to me how, a lot of stuff we build and a lot of stuff we purchase, but some of the best stuff is the weird stuff we collect. All these different items, vehicles or just crazy industrial equipment that everyone collects. And here you are getting tons of old weird tombstones.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was funny. We went up there for the auction, and I didn't tell any of my friends in the haunted industry about it. We just went up there, and I think I bid on one stone, and it was like $10, and then it was down to $5, and then nobody else at the auction was buying the used tombstones. They were buying the ones that were like ready to be carved. There was a bunch of memorial companies there buying stuff. And then the auctioneer turns to me and goes, "You want the rest of them?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "How much?" I said, $10. So I got about 100 of these things for $10.
I can't imagine what that weighed. Get loaded up.
It was, let me tell you what, probably 15 or 20 trips with trucks and wagons going back, because one of them we got was almost 2,000 pounds. So it was, pretty crazy.
But, I don't have many tombstones. We've gotten a couple of concrete statuaries, which those get heavy, and I can't imagine that. Must have been crazy getting all that stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I did sell some to Juby.
There you go.
He got a few, but that's worked out really cool. And we've got a couple of the big props we bought from Scare Factory last year. We put in one of those giant pumpkin monsters. So you go through that. I've got scarecrows located throughout the trail, and some are animatronics, some are live. We've got a snake farm that you go through. People don't like snakes much. We put a clown house in, and people don't like clowns much. What else? This is pretty cool. We did a slaughterhouse. This is basically a family's home where everybody was killed. So we built this house, and we have a great friend, Harley Newton. She's got 12 years of college. She's a veterinarian, but she also is a veterinarian for the zoos. So she's extremely smart. She worked for us for several years, many years. And she came in, she says, "All right, so we're going to set this house up. that there's blood splatters everywhere. And so there's a wall with a blood splat about head high. There's a bed with the blood splatter all over the pillow. You walk into the next room, and there's a sofa with 2 headshots, and then one in the kitchen. But no bodies, it's just blood. And so we actually videoed this. It's pretty cool. I have a shotgun, and we held bags of blood, plastic bags full of red paint, where we wanted to do the blood splat. And we had walkie-talkies, make sure nobody's anywhere near us, and they could hold it up there, and we'd shoot it. And we go into where the bedroom is, and this gal Harley, and she's a tiny little thing, and she pours blood all over the pillow and takes a baseball bat to it and starts beating the crap out of it. Blood everywhere. And then I said she was smart. She proceeds to tell us what the name of all those different blood splatters are. So in criminal justice, there's different names for baseballs and shotguns and stuff like that.
My.
So at the very end, and like I said, she's a cute little gal. She put a towel on the floor of the kitchen. So we did a blood shot on one of the cabinets, and she puts a towel on the floor. She pours half a gallon of red paint on it, jumps on it with her hands and her chest, and says, "Grab my legs, pull me out." So I start dragging her out, and she's grabbing onto the side here, the blood, handy prints and all that stuff. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I mean, she's not going to tube top. I'm like, now I see why those killers do this shit.
Oh,
this is pretty exciting.
God. Oh,
But
so
anyway, that was cool.
So I remember, walking through that. Many people think, that they're used to corn mazes, but your trail in the corn, you have a lot of different structures and environments. But do you also take them out into a brief walk through the actual corn as well?
No, it's strictly. You do go through the corn, but everything's fenced. You can only go one way. So it's not a maze; it's a trail, and it's all well lit, so people can see where they're going. I don't want people, lollygagging, for another better term. I want them to go through this thing and go through the base motel and get a hot dog and a T-shirt. So we set it up so that, just like a haunted house, where the actors will push the customers towards the exit.
Right.
And that's always worked out really well for us. And, like I said, like to have a big entrance and a big exit. And the exit is a tool shed, a big tool shed with some bodies hanging and things like that. And a guy with a chainsaw comes out and chases people out into the courtyard.
It's funny, we all know how much our customers love chainsaws. And a lot of us are kind of like, we're over chainsaws. I remember when we started NETHERWORLD, this is going to be 30 years ago, and we're like, we're not doing chainsaws. And after like the first couple of nights, we're like, we got to do chainsaws because everyone wants a chainsaw. It's just like, it's part of what you do with a haunted attraction. And I periodically will see people posting about discussions about chainsaws. And it's like, I like to say, give the people what they want, and then give the people what you want. What you want is the unique stuff that you do, but you got to give them what they want. And if they want a chainsaw, give them a chainsaw. So they go through this huge trail, and then they get to the Bates Motel. Tell us about that.
All right. Well, quick caveat on chainsaws. We always used to do, with the Hayride, I like to do things on both sides of the wagon, so everybody feels like they're getting hit. And we had one scene where we had 2 chainsaw guys, and this is about 3 or 4 years ago. And they were coming out, and people were getting off the wagons. You could hear people complaining, like, "Guy touched me with that saw." Now, there's no blade on it, but people don't want to necessarily be touched sometimes. So, we went back and we told the 2 chainsaw guys. My son Ben is my general manager, and the 2 of us, we said, "Hey, look, you know what? Attack the wagon, lift the chainsaw over your head, put the saw underneath the wagon so it vibrates the floor, but don't touch people with it." Okay. And the next night, same complaints. They're putting the chainsaws right in the wagon, running it down people's backs and stuff. And so we told him again. I said, yeah, okay, no problem, we'll stop. And the night after that, Ben and I hid behind their scene. And they were doing the exact same thing. And their comment was, who the hell do those people think they are telling us what to do? So we walked right out into the middle of the scene, yanked their ID badges off them, and said, you're fired. Hit the pike.
Right.
And that was the end of those chainsaws. So we have one chainsaw on my Hayride, and it's on an elevated deck. Somebody kicks the door open, the chainsaw comes out, and we run it across a spark system. So it's shooting sparks. And then we have the chainsaw in the corn maze. So anyway, you come out of the out of the cornfield, and we put you into the Bates Motel. It's been something that always grows. You know the deal. It's always changing, adding stuff. We've gone through so many iterations of different rooms and things like that. Always trying to come up with something new, something better. The one thing that you hate is doing the conga lines, where just dumping people in on a busy night.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what, COVID stopped most of that for us. I will say that COVID made my business so much better. It really made my business better. My whole business model. We went to time ticketing. 400 people every 15 minutes. If we need to bump it up to 500, we can do that really easily. We went to almost all online sales. It's all credit card stuff. We eliminated people in my ticket booth. I used to have 10 girls sitting there taking 20s, and now it was 2. It's just a lot of other things as well as that. But that's what really has helped our business so much. I don't have the traffic on the highway like we used to. If we got rained out on a Friday night in the middle of October, Saturday was insane. You'd have traffic backed up for 5, 6, 7 miles. State police would come shut me down. The parking lot would overflow. You had to close that. And people were waiting, 2.5, 3 hours in line in some of the rides. So the time ticketing solved all of that, which was awesome.
Yeah, we had the same experience with that, wherein we started with that time ticketing, and it used to be that thing too, like around 9 o'clock you could sell as many tickets as you want, but then it would take hours to process people. So now I may not have the busiest single night that we ever have, but you're able to kind of spread it out over the hours, spread it out over time. Now, people still want to come at peak. There's no question. But time ticketing has been so good at spreading that out. And like you said, it's also taken away a lot of the cash component, which kind of adds another layer of safety because you're not worried about, what's going on with that cash.
Yep, absolutely. It's worked out great for us. So I can't say enough.
Well, I remember that Bates Motel. It's just like being shot out of a cannon because it's like you're on this. It's kind of interesting. It's like you're created a funnel. You have these big, vast sets on the Hayride. It's intense, but you're outside. You're in the open. You're kind of getting tighter in this in this cornfield, going through all these, and then you go into this building with a lot of small scenes and a lot of actors and a lot of gags all at once. And so I've heard this story about what happens. So you've got these chicken exits, I know, and
right.
But when they come out, if they go out a chicken exit, they've had too much inside the Bates Motel. Isn't there something that happens?
Yeah, we have people that we call rovers. So they kind of go through 3 or 4 rooms and they keep resetting. They're the ones that help push the people out. But if somebody needs to get out, they open the door, they show them how to get out, they push a button, and it rings a bell and a flashing light with a chicken sign outside. So anyway, that's what that was all about.
Interesting. So they go through all this stuff now, and a lot of folks, it's interesting where you're located because you're in a beautiful rural area, but you're really close to the big city. So a lot of people
Yes.
come out that don't normally get to be out in the country. That's probably part of the allure, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. You got people coming from the city, and they're out in the dark woods and the dark fields, and they're already scared. So, it definitely lends to the atmosphere of the whole place. And the thing we did last year was we added sound speakers everywhere. I got them in the parking lots. I got them in the queue lines, in the corn trail, anywhere you're on the property. You got some kind of eerie music playing, or we're running announcements like in the parking lot, hey, welcome to the base motel. Leave all your metal objects in your vehicle before you come through security. So simple things like that. We can make announcements if somebody's lost a credit card or as a kid that's lost or something, and it just really added to all the atmosphere.
It's interesting talking about safety. You mentioned it a lot. I just want to mention a few things here to the folks listening. You've always been a huge proponent of safety, and kind of we haven't even really talked about the industry as a whole, but I know this has been important to you, and it's also, I know, in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is interesting because obviously they actually have a training course that all haunted houses have to go through. And you've been very involved in creating that content and helping people do that. And also, not only that, I know you were involved in writing the standards for the safety on hayrides. I know you were working with Pete Karlowitz from Niles Haunted House on that years ago. And at Transworld, our big trade show, you've always been one of the teachers telling us about safety. You've always been involved with issues such as insurance. I mean, you've been a really big teacher, proponent, supporter of safety. Tell us a little bit about that entire safety aspect, not only at your place, but about haunted attractions. And you just also mentioned metal detectors as well, which I know the Jubies at Headless Horseman, they're on that side of it. They help everyone in the industry get into those. Tell us a bit about how safety works for you, both at your attraction and in the industry.
Sure. 2014, there was a massive hayride incident. I hate calling it an accident because it could have been avoided. Almost all accidents and this stuff, a lot of this stuff can be avoided if you follow certain rules. It was in Maine. The wagon was being pulled up by a Jeep CJ7, 1979, which is very a lightweight vehicle. Fully loaded wagon. They went over a hill, flipped over, killed a couple people. A couple people were paralyzed. And at least Pennsylvania and then the ASTM International wanted to create a hayride safety standard. And I had been teaching code compliance in haunted houses to the state of Pennsylvania since 2007. And the man that oversees the safety stuff, he says, would you like to be the committee chair for the hayride? Well, I would much rather be on the committee than to have lawyers and engineers write the standards. So I said, yeah. And I got a bunch of my friends from all over the country that have hayrides. And we started writing that standard. And we tried to make it so that it didn't preclude anybody. So if you were a massive haunted attraction with 35-foot wagons, you had to do certain things, certain size tractors and tow vehicles. But if you were a little peach farmer and you were doing a hayride with a little two-man cart, you could pull it with a lawn tractor. So we just set it up with certain things, safety pins and chains and so on. It took us 6 years to get that thing approved. ASTM International is a group of engineers and attorneys and corporate people that have different entities, and everybody votes on things, and they're very specific. It was tough. In February of 2020, they passed it. The hayride safety standard, here it is. And if the states want to adopt it, that's fine. But you know what happened in March of 2020? It's COVID. So guess what? Randy didn't do a hayride for 2 years. We changed our hayride to a walking trail.
That changes
Um,
everything.
it really did. People loved it. Most people did. There's a couple of people that didn't like walking up the hills. We put a sign up called Asthma Hill, and we had a golf cart there. We gave people a lift if they needed it.
Oh man!
But we opened, and we ran. A lot of people didn't open that year, 2020. And we had one of our best years ever. So I will say that. People wanted to get out. We had metal detectors, the handheld ones, and I bought 2 of the walkthrough ones from Juby, and we put them in a little security booth. Everybody that came on the property, they had to go through security. We had thermometers where you put your forehead up to and you take temperatures. That year, 62,000 people came through, and not one person had a temperature. So kind of says something for that. But we did have a couple of people that emailed us or called us and said, "Hey, the family's got COVID. We can't come. We get refund." Sure, no problem.
Right.
But the security stuff's worked great. I have a hell of a collection of knives that I've gotten for over the couple of years. People leaving stuff. But it's funny because you see people who walk out, they'll see the sign, they leave metal objects in your car, and they'll turn right around and go back to their car. You can watch them. And so the security end of it's been really good. I have off-duty police officers that have worked for us for years. And most of them were hanging around a ticket booth because, back in the day, there'd be a lot of cash in that ticket booth. We'd be doing pickups every 20 minutes. And anyway, I guess it was last year, maybe two years ago. My insurance company said, "We don't like having the off-duty police officers. We would rather you have paid armed security."
Really?
So anyway, Yep. So I found this one company that's 45 minutes away, family-run, military guys, and I hired them, 2 of them, and one would stand out front and kind of watching the people walk in from the parking lot. The other guy was right by the security booth, and he was, without having tell them anything, they started guiding my customers. Hey, come over here, go through this, go through that. And they're armed. They've got tactical vests on. They got big freaking pistols on their sides. So any of my customers coming through, they want to start anything, they look over that and they say, guess we're not going to start it here. So it was more of a deterrent than anything else. And these guys were awesome. They'll be back again next year.
That's cool. I mean, there's so much involved people don't realize in haunted attractions. Not only all the work we put into the construction, the operation, but all these levels of safety. So you get out of all your attractions, and then you got a midway, and you have food, you have fun. Tell us about some of the fun stuff that happens in the opportunities, the gift shops and stuff when you get out.
Yeah, we have a gift shop, and most of the stuff we sell is apparel. So you get a lot of T-shirts and hoodies and stuff. The nights I really love is when people show up and it's 70 degrees, and by the time they're going through everything, it's like 45 or 50, and they got to buy hoodies. So, but we have that. We have I have coffin rides, which are pretty cool. Simulated coffin ride. You climb in there, and it's mechanical, and it does its thing. We found out that people didn't want to go into a single one, so we had to build our own double wides to get 2 people in. And we have escape room trailers. We get a couple of those. I have an axe throwing trailer that we put down there, so people are throwing axes. And then we have a concession stand, and we don't farm that out. We do all that ourselves. And it does really well. It really does well. But the thing that really got us jacked up was the donut shop. And it was, again, I keep talking about the Jubies. They were the ones like, "Dude, you got to sell donuts."
Oh, I know.
So it's,
We heard the same thing for years. We finally started
it's
selling
like,
them. He's like, I told you about those hot dogs.
well, the thing was, it was because look, it's $6,500 for the machine. It's a donut robot. So you mix the dough in there, you put it in there, and it plops it down, and out pops donuts. Well, they said I needed a $3,000 mixer and an $8,000 shed and a $5,000 hood
Yeah.
and all this other stuff. So we dropped about 20 grand on this donut shop. And the very first year, we brought in close to 30,000. Last year was over $85,000 in donuts.
That's
So I mean,
unbelievable. That's great.
it's
That's
crazy.
great.
It's absolutely crazy. I watch these people. They'll walk over and they'll buy one or two donuts, walk away, eat them, and then they go back and they buy a dozen, and they just walk around the place, eat these donuts out of the bag. But they're the apple cider donuts. They're still hot, It's just, people just love it.
Oh, yeah. So you've done a lot of other events there on the farm as well. I mean, don't you have a Christmas tree farm there?
We do. We sell Christmas trees. We used to do a Christmas hayride, but the weather just killed us. If you had a freezing thaw, cars were getting stuck. And if it snowed like in the middle of December, no matter how much you plowed, the wagons were still sliding off the trail. So done with the hayride trail. We sell the Christmas trees. Cool thing is that I got 4 grandsons that are 12 and 13, and they go down there. 12 and 13 now, but they go down there and they start hustling these trees, and people come out and they just absolutely they dig it. Look at that kid, man! He's busting his ass. These kids are getting huge tips. You get this kid that's 100 pounds, and he's picking up a 100-pound Christmas tree and dragging it off a wagon and running it through the baler.
Did you tell some story about some
really
celebrity who came and gave one of them a pretty good tip?
Yeah. Jason Kelsey, he's been out for the last 5 years, and his family, and he's freaking cool as hell. Just a regular dude, and they came out. He does obviously a podcast with his brother, and it's very well known. He's wearing Bates Motel shirts. He's wearing Aristaff Tree Farm shirts when he's doing these podcasts. And this past year, he did a lot of radio spots and some TV spots. And they were asking him questions. And he goes, I always get my Christmas trees from Aristaff Farm. Best place ever. So he was promoting the shit out of us, which was great. So they showed up right towards the end of the year, the end of the season. And they went out. We gave him a ride out to the field. He cut a tree down. We brought him back. And he starts to give us money. And my son, Ben, he says, nope, I'm not taking any money from you. You've promoted us so much, for free. And so his wife got mad. And she went out and tipped every one of our guys $100 bill.
Wow.
We got like 15 guys working for me, plus my, including the grandkids. So he went out there and tipped everybody $100.
That's when she was mad. If she was happy, what would have happened? I don't know. No.
I don't know. Damn it. Anyway, you know the deal. So it was cool. They came out a year ago, and we were closed. We closed early. We sold out. And they called us on the phone. Hey, can we get a tree? It looks like you're closed. Yeah, come on out. So Ben and one of my grandsons, they popped them on a wagon, drove them out to the field. They walked around. They got their tree, came back. And his wife called my daughter-in-law the next day and said, it's the most family fun we've had in a year, because they're busy as anything.
Right.
Those two. And he just said it was just so nice to be able, just the family, nobody else. You guys treat us well. And, we don't fuss over them or any of that crap. It's really built a good friendship, which is cool.
That's so cool. You've got such an amazing family. You've got a lot of kids and you got a lot of grandkids, and a lot of them, they're there working. I remember one time we went there, and there were some of your grandkids just zooming around on gators, and I mean they were all over the place. They knew everything, what was going down.
Absolutely.
Wasn't it one of your grandkids that had the pig that was scaring people, or was that one of your sons?
Yeah, I think that was just a piglet that we bought, and thing was small, but you pick it up, they squeal like crazy. And I had this one girl, Thelma, that was working the butcher barn scene, and the pig was in a little pen, and customers would come through. She'd pick that thing up. She'd say, "Come on, we're going to gut this thing and eat him." And this poor pig is screaming like crazy. And she felt guilty because he's just, wheeling away, and she would give it popcorn. So after the third day, she didn't even have to pick it up. People would walk in, and this thing would start squealing its head off. As soon as they walked out, it would run over to her and put its head up and goes, "Where's my popcorn?" So this little thing that's like 6 to 8 weeks old was trained in 2 days.
And it won Actor of the Year. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's you love the stories, so many years in the business, so many stories, so many adventures. And what's great, too, is that, those of us in the industry, we get together for various events, and we all go to the big show, NETHERWORLD, and we tell these stories, and we're always meeting new people. And you're one of those people that was always that guy that was. You've helped so many people get in this industry. I mean, I know you've flown all over the country and just consulted with people, just help them, get into the industry. I remember when I first met you, it was so long ago. It was got to be 25, 30 years ago, somewhere in that range. And I think we were at Morris Costumes, and there was some event that was put on over there. And you were talking to people about all the stuff you were doing. And I was like, I think that's when we became friends. And but all these years, I'm just thinking of all the all the adventures we've had, and we've gone on all these tours, and so many things that we've done, and it's just been lots of fun. And the industry, I mean, it's grown, and you've been a big part of that. So tell us a little bit about that, about how you've been involved with the shows and tours and all that kind of stuff.
All right. Well, like I said earlier, we got invited to TransWorld, and in 1996. So I'm ready to learn from the people that really know what the hell they're doing. I'm ready to take some seminars, And when I got out there, nobody was talking to each other. If you remember, they just totally. If they saw somebody from their area, they just clammed up and didn't say a word. So I was like, what's the matter with these people? And I remember this one woman, I can't remember her name, but she had a hayride up in Michigan. And she pulled me aside, and she says, all right, I'm going to give you my best scare. And she says, the wagon comes down, there's 2 cars parked, we flash the headlights, and we honk the horns, and it scares everybody. And I was like, okay, well, all right, thank you for that information. And then I go to a seminar from a guy from New Jersey that was going to do a seminar on hayrides, haunted hayrides. And I'm sitting next to this fella from Connecticut, and he's been doing a haunted hayride for a few years, but he uses all antique tractors, which is pretty cool. He's a little hippie, but he was an awesome guy. And so the guy comes up to start talking. He goes like, all right, well, we don't do a hayride anymore, so we're going to talk about, how to keep your customers happy and do things like that. So I'm not bashful. I raise my hand. How come we don't do a hayride anymore? And he goes, well, the trucks keep getting stuck. And I turn to the guy next to me. He goes like, he's pulling hay wagons with trucks. And the guy goes, oh, no, we don't have any wagons. So his haunted hayride was putting people in the bed of a pickup truck. And they're trying to teach us. And I'll tell you what, I got so mad. His seminar was about giving away free shit to keep the customers from getting upset, like, spider rings and candy. So I didn't do another seminar for about 2 or 3 years after that. But anyway, starting to meet people, talking to other people, sharing ideas, and that's kind of when it all started. And once we started doing all that, other people started doing it.
And you've had obviously, we've all been involved in a lot of different associations and groups that share information. And locally, you've I mean, a lot of places people may compete in, we all compete in a way because we're all creatives and we're trying to make the best, coolest, scariest thing. But you've developed, really close friendships with people locally, and you banded together to promote all of the attractions in your area. Tell us a little bit about that. That what's it, 13 Haunts it's called?
Yeah, 13 Haunts. About 2006 or 7. There's a very, very popular radio station out of Philadelphia, the Preston and Steve show, and morning show. Extremely, good. And so they had changed to a different radio station. And they were, I talked to my radio rep. And I said, look, I want to be the morning show guy. So I want you to, all right, 15 grand for radio ads. And, I want you guys to talk about the Bates Motel on this morning show. And they did. They actually had me come in and, in the studio and chatted with them and stuff like that. So this is great. And then the next year, she came back, my radio rep. She says, all right, we're going to do the same thing we did last year, except you only get 1 week with the radio station. And it's going to be $30,000. And I've already sold a couple other weeks to other people. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I'm not, no. And she started telling everybody else that I had bought into it. So the other haunts in the area. So I started calling these guys. And I'm like, I didn't do this. So we decided we'd band together and fight the radio station. And that's how we started 13 Haunts. And it's worked out well. It's a miniature of America Haunts. So it's, we do promotions and, we throw, 4 or 5 grand in and, buy different types of marketing and so on like that. We promote each other. And the great thing is, in my opinion, is, if you got 10 or 12 haunts in the Philadelphia market, that's 10 or 12 places that are advertising or go to a haunted attraction. So everybody does well in our market. It's worked out really well for all of us. It hasn't hurt my bottom line at all. And I think the other guys have all, they've been able to step up and do the same.
It's interesting.
So it's worked out good.
Rather than dividing up the pie, you just keep making a bigger pie. All market, you help each other, you work together, you do these joint things. But yet, here's the thing. You're all, have different events. And a lot of them are hayrides, but they have a different vibe, a different feel because of who's the producer. And they're scattered around. You can go to all of them. And that area has grown so many good attractions are there. And I got to think some of it has to be from the sharing of information and the camaraderie you guys have locally. As a matter of fact, Transworld, which is, of course, the big show we go to, they started one called East Coast Haunters, which, because it was such a big area, they decided to serve that better. And that's been going on, I think, about 3 years now, maybe. We're heading into 4, I think.
Yes, third year coming up.
Yeah. And so it's a great show because there's always so many cool shows to go to. I know you were very instrumental in helping, Jen and Rich get that show started.
Well, she asked me to be a member and to show up and get a booth. And if you put in so much money, you can have 50 or 100 of your actors and staff come through. And, it worked out really well. And Jen is such a great person. I love her. And we're putting together a little bit of marketing program for East Coast this year that I can do on my own. So I've got a huge email list. So I'm planning on spending a couple email blasts out. I've got a company that I hired to do Facebook stuff. So I'm going to have them do some things. I've got a lot of people in the media. So newspaper, radio, TV. These are people I can call on the phone and go like, yo, you need to come out and promote this. So, I've done a lot for them. Now it's payback. So Jen doesn't quite know it yet, but I'm planning on putting this thing on the map this year.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, no, the Transworld folks are great, and they've done so much for this industry. They kind of have created kind of our marketplace where we all gather, and we all met at those kind of shows that they help put together. So, and that's a history of that. I mean, talk about a topic, all the years of all the different things that have happened. And like I said, for us with Netherworld, this is our 30th year. And, but some of us, we've just been at this so long, but there's so many new people coming in, great ideas, great energy. And it's always fun to see them, like, it used to be at the bar. We'd go there when we were in Chicago. We knew every single person. And now I sometimes go to the bar. I'm like, almost don't know anyone here. I think we're all going to bed early. I don't know what's happening. But time rolls on. But no, it's all that stuff is great. All the connection you have with these people. And like I said, you've been one to really get out there. And it's interesting too, because you and your event have gotten a lot of national attention. And one thing that's great is when good attractions do get national attention, it helps everybody. We talked about creating a bigger pie. Tell us a little bit about some of the national things you've done. I know didn't you like build something in Times Square once or something? I mean, you've done a lot.
We did a miniature hayride at the Fox Studios. And went up there, and we had a lawn tractor and a little wagon, and bales of straw and stuff like that. And we talked about everything. That was about it. But we've done. I did one piece on in the Wall Street Journal, and the lady called me on the phone, and she had gotten it because of one of our lists. And this is probably 12 years ago, maybe more. And she's starting to talk to me and this and that. I'm telling her about the farm, and it's a family-run business, and that I have helped other farmers get into it. And she goes like, "Well, give me a name. Who else did you help get into it?" And it was the guy in North Carolina that died. What the hell was his name? Oh man, I'll think of it. Anyway, he had a small hayride down there, and had asked me to come down, and flew me down and put me up for a couple nights. I went through his whole thing, and made a bunch of suggestions and so on like that. So I give this fellow her name or number, and she calls him and interviews him. He's got his picture on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. And they mentioned me on page 3.
Yeah, sometimes being, it's good to be a good guy, but sometimes you're like, what the heck? What just happened there?
He was such a good guy. He didn't bother me at all. So, anyway. But that's one of the things. And, I've been out to other places and talked to people and so on like that. And I never charged much. I charged basically, my travel costs. It was, a couple $100. So. But, I always liked helping people get into the industry. I love this industry. If you can be successful in it, it's awesome. And, I'm extremely blessed that my wife is an integral part of the business. She handles all the financial stuff. Yeah, she's a great gal. And my kids, my son Ben is basically a general manager. He's also my partner in the escape rooms and laser tag that we have. He works full time for us. My daughter Veronica, she's doing a lot of stuff. She's handling payroll. She's doing the 401k stuff, and takes a lot of the book work and so on. My daughter Diana is my youngest, and she manages our escape rooms business. So she's answering phone calls, setting up birthday parties, all that good stuff. These. And then my grandkids, they're all, stepping up. They're working the haunt. They're out there. My son Ben, he's got a daughter that's like 11 years old, and she's scaring the crap out of people. She's got the long hair, like the chick that climbs out of the ring. Yeah. And but it's so funny because my one grandson, he was walking around dressed like a clown. He comes over to me, hands me $20. I said, "What's this for?" He goes, "That guy over there gave me $20. Told him to leave him alone."
Man, you got big tippers out that way. I don't know what's going on. You have him carry a little Venmo thing. Yeah, you can Venmo me. Yeah. That's what you can do.
Oh my God,
that's
but stuff like that is just funny as hell. That's the thing I love about the business. And the last couple of years, Ann and I have stepped back a little bit from the business. we'll go down front and she'll make sure that all the cash drawers are filled and everything's ready to go with concessions and so on like that. And I'll talk to the guys, make sure the wagons are hooked up, and then we'll go back down to my house because we live on the farm, and we'll sit on the front porch and have a drink and listen to the people screaming. And I got a walkie-talkie there if somebody needs us. So it's really nice to be able to turn things over to the family.
It's such a great story, and you've been so successful, and you've helped so many people, even if they don't even realize it. I mean, the groundwork you and a lot of others have laid over these long years with safety and just the institutional knowledge and the helping people and the building up of the shows, which also helps everyone learn and be successful. It's a lot. And I want to thank you. I mean, you've been a great friend, and I really appreciate everything you've done. And thanks so much for talking to us today and, sharing your story with the industry, because, people may know you, but they don't know all these fun stories and these tales and how it all started. And you can really get inspired when you learn about, the stories of people. And, yours is such a story. It's a story of family. It's a story of hard work, and also just of being gracious and helping people out. So
and starting from nothing.
Yeah, that's it.
We started from nothing,
Yep.
So that's what's fun is you build a business and it's successful. And I've got 4 or 5 different families that require, they rely on their paycheck year round from us. So we've done a lot for our employees, and can't say enough about them. And I do have so many stories, so many funny things. We talked about the animals. I had got a call from the SPCA, our slaughter barn. Some lady's been complaining that your chickens are too close together. So I said, well, you want to come over and inspect it? Guy comes over. They're animatronic chickens. He laughs his ass off. He goes, all right. I see.
Well, we're having a lot of robots, so pretty soon they're going to have to be dealt with the special rules, I'm sure.
Right.
I mean, the funny stories. Those are some of the best parts when you talk to people who've been around a long time, are just the stories of the crazy scares or the crazy adventures or just the wild things that we've all been through. It's so much fun just sit and chat about all that fun stuff.
It really is. And again, Ben, you've been a great friend for years and years. You and Billy and the rest of the America Haunts guys have been, been awesome. So it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, and say hi to the family for you. And we'll see you in just a short time. We're recording this. Yeah. It's just before Transworld here in 26. So I don't know when this is going to hit the air. This is literally the first one we've taped, but I'm going to do some more, and we're going to have some fun and hopefully get a lot of really cool history and inspirational stories there. But thank you so much, Randy, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it, Ben. Take care.
Thank you. All right.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.